During the early 1900s, African Americans continued their struggle for civil rights on a national scale with seemingly no definitive solution in sight. In the wake of one of the most violent race riots in American history, one man sought to overlook racial differences and the rules of his own organization to provide aid to those in need. Through the leadership of Maurice Willows during the 1921 Tulsa Race Riot, the American Red Cross compromised their mission, enabling the organization to be the sole responder, provider of relief, and champion of African American rights. Maurice Willows' decision to defy the tenets of the Red Cross made him an unsung hero who saved countless lives. Following the end of the First World War in 1918, African Americans anxiously and optimistically hoped that their patriotic sacrifices during the war would have a positive impact on race relations and expand the boundaries of civil rights. However, fears of labor unrest, Bolshevism stemming from the Russian Revolution of 1917, and the return of confident black soldiers with their first taste of freedom from Europe spawned a nationwide surge in violence by white Americans, much of it directed at African Americans. Due to this, race riots erupted across the country, and Tulsa, Oklahoma was no exception. With the discovery of oil in 1915, Tulsa became one of the largest oil boom cities in the world. The prospect of oil attracted large numbers of whites and blacks looking for employment. By 1921, Tulsa's African American population had grown to almost 11,000. Despite the ongoing segregation, the African American community in Tulsa thrived economically. Greenwood, commonly known as Black Wall Street, was, according to one historian, assuredly one of the finest black commercial districts in the entire Southwest. Many of Tulsa's white residents envied the success found within the African American community, and by the end of 1921, Tulsa was home to 3,200 members of the Ku Klux Klan. Envious white Tulsans, coupled with the strong desire for equality from black Tulsans, created unstable racial tensions, just waiting for a spark to ignite. That spark came on May 30th, 1921, when a 19-year-old African-American man named Dick Rowland entered an elevator with 17-year-old white woman Sarah Page in a downtown Tulsa office building. Page was heard screaming from inside the elevator, and Rowland was falsely accused of attempting to rape her. The next day, the Tulsa Tribune, a white newspaper known for its sensationalism and racial bias, published an article alluding to an attempted rape under the title "Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in an Elevator." Rowland was arrested and taken to the courthouse as rumors of a possible lynching spread through the Greenwood community. Between 50 and 75 African Americans and 1,500 to 2,000 white Tulsans came into conflict in front of the courthouse as blacks came to protest a lynching and whites arrived to stop the protests. There, an armed black veteran and a white Tulsan began to argue and scuffled over the gun. A shot was fired and the riot began. The governor called the Oklahoma National Guard within hours, and Police Chief John Gustafson deputized and armed a large number of white men. The Tulsa World announced they planned to range through the Negro settlement and clean it out. With machine guns and other weapons, white citizens began burning and looting Greenwood. Mary Jones Parrish, a witness, stated, "The firing of guns was renewed in quick succession. People were seen to flee from their burning homes, some with babes in their arms and leading crying children by the hand. Others, old and feeble, all fleeing to safety." Many reports stated that retired World War I airplanes were used to drop firebombs on Greenwood, and hundreds of African Americans were injured or killed as they were struck with bricks or clubs.
We saw a man with a rope around his neck dragged behind a car going down First Street.
However, the horror did not end as the city shut down during the riot. All phone systems and railways were cut, and ambulances and Red Cross aid were not allowed into Greenwood. Eventually, the governor declared martial law, and the Oklahoma National Guard arrested almost all residents of Greenwood and marched them at gunpoint through the streets. These African Americans were detained in internment camps located in local ballparks and fairgrounds, while white Tulsans continued to destroy their homes. The conditions were horrific, as one reporter noted that inside the park was odorous heat, the crying of babies, the sound of many voices, and the moaning of women, and thousands of Negroes huddled together as far as the eye could see. The prisoners in the internment camps were given green cards that were used to identify them, and they were only released after a white Tulsan vouched for them. A community that worked tirelessly to build a successful and thriving neighborhood over decades was destroyed after just 18 hours of gruesome violence. 35 square blocks and 1,200 Greenwood homes and businesses were obliterated. The estimated death toll was near 300, although it remains uncertain. Due to the devastation and complete destruction of the Black community, then Mayor T.D. Evans wrote an urgent letter to the Red Cross stating, "Please establish headquarters for all relief work and bring all organizations who can assist you to your aid. The responsibility is placed in your hands entirely." In response, the Director of Relief for the Red Cross, Maurice Willows, went to Tulsa. Born in Clinton, Canada on April 16, 1876, Willows worked at the Red Cross headquarters in St. Louis during the late spring of 1921, and according to Willows, "I had sensed that back in the national office, certain changes on top levels of future Red Cross policy were in the making. Looking ahead, I saw a return to the peacetime program of the organization." Willows was one of the first Red Cross employees to be sent to the rioting Tulsa after its cry for help, and upon witnessing the horrific state of the city, he contacted the Red Cross headquarters in Washington, D.C., demanding to classify this riot as a natural disaster so that the organization could respond. The head of the National Red Cross responded with permission for Willows to take action as he saw fit. It is because of Willows that for the first time in its history, the Red Cross responded to and cared for survivors of a catastrophe that was not the result of nature, but rather a man-made disaster. After being sent to Tulsa, Willows wrote, "It seemed clear that the trouble did not have any providential causes, and, as the Red Cross had never taken a hand in man-made disasters, I called Washington with the report that there was an unknown number of homeless refugees, all Negroes. There was no adequate relief organization in town on account of the divisions between the whites and Negroes." The American Red Cross responded within the first 24 hours of the riot and found over 8,000 homeless African Americans. The Red Cross also found that African Americans were denied adequate treatment and set up a makeshift hospital in a local school and manned 2 first aid and infant welfare stations. While working in Tulsa, a Red Cross nurse stated, "I can never erase the sights of my first visit to the hospital. There were men wounded in every conceivable way, like soldiers after a big battle, some with amputated limbs, burned faces, others minus an eye or with heads bandaged." The Red Cross nurses assisted with 451 surgeries, vaccinated 841 people for tetanus, typhoid, and smallpox, prepared special feedings for 144 children, and cared for 125 people with dysentery. Dick Rowland remained safe in the county jail until the next morning, when the police transported him out of town in secrecy. All charges were dropped. As the rebuilding process began, the National Guard ordered all able-bodied black men to clean up the damage that white Tulsans had caused. However, in a personal account written years after the riot, Willows admitted he deviated from official Red Cross policy in order to advocate for black Tulsans regarding the issue of rebuilding. For example, Willows developed a more permanent housing plan for the survivors of the riot, as he planned to construct a more secure version of the Red Cross tents that were in effect until September of 1921. Additionally, through the concerted efforts of Maurice Willows and the Red Cross, $40,000 of the city's budget was delegated to finish the relief program. The Red Cross also remained in Tulsa for 7 months following the riot and provided the most sustained relief effort at a cost of more than $100,000. Later that same year, a grand jury in Tulsa ruled that Police Chief John Gustafson was responsible for the riot due to the negligence of his duty, and he was removed from office. He was the only white Tulsan to be charged with a crime. In 2003, a federal lawsuit was filed against the state of Oklahoma, the city of Tulsa, and the Tulsa Police Department on behalf of riot survivors and their descendants. However, the courts dismissed the suit, ruling the statute of limitations had run out. This lawsuit is one of few actions taken to draw attention to this conflict, as the Tulsa Race Riot of 1921 is not mentioned in any major textbooks and is rarely, if ever, taught in American classrooms. Today, only a block-long string of businesses remains in what was once Greenwood, and many believe that the Black Wall Street legacy is gone.
Segregation is still here. It's still here. But it's loosening up a little bit now.
As for the Red Cross, the organization's current mission states that they work to prevent and alleviate human suffering wherever it may be found. It makes no discrimination as to nationality, race, religious beliefs, class, or political opinions. This modern and all-inclusive mission of the American Red Cross would be impossible without the devoted work of Maurice Willows. Outside of Tulsa, little is known of the race riot, and even less is known about Maurice Willows. Willows was an unsung hero who fought for the civil rights of others by urging the Red Cross to act in response to this disastrous racial conflict. Maurice Willows took a stand when no one else would and changed the very mission of the Red Cross, and in doing so, saved countless African American lives. We sat amid the wreck and ruin of our former homes and peered listlessly into space. It was at this time and under such conditions that the American Red Cross, that angel of love and mercy, came to our assistance. Constantly, in season and out, since the regrettable occurrence, this great organization, headed by that high-class gentleman, Mr. Willows, has heard our ever cry in this our dark hour.